The reason why we have come down this way is because there is a pretty strong system that's blowing through down the Java Sea. It's time for a bit of anchor watching because the wind has picked up, and it's picked up pretty hard. As I say, hits over 30 odd knots. Not particularly comfortable.
We're leaving Marina Bay after, I don't know, it was nearly 6 months. Toing and froing from the UK, lots of work done on the boat. Let's hope that it all goes okay. We're heading south to the southwest corner of Lombok because we've got a lot of weather coming in, and it gets lots of shelter down there, and it's somewhere new, never been there before. It's a whole load of Gilies. Tell you more about Gilies later.
Just coming along across the top of Lombok, and we're going to do a handbrake turn to the left and go down the side of the channel between Gili Air and the northwest tip of Lombok. Obviously, sense of trepidation here because there's a few systems here we haven't run for a while, and some new systems as well, of course. Retuned prop, put on correctly this time, and reconditioned flexible coupling. I've noticed the engine blower keeps tripping, which I'm going to have a look at. There's quite a bit of swell here, but I'm hoping when we get round the corner and get behind Gili Air, we should get a bit of protection, and then Liz can put the coffee on.
Ah, that's good old Marina Bay Marina. Goodbye. Well, we are rocking a bit, as you can see, as we leave this morning. As usual, there's hardly any wind. We had a bit of rain earlier. We're not expecting great sailing or anything from this particular run down southwest corner of Lombok. We're just getting down there to get out of the muck that's about to come through up here, where we know it's going to get even more rock and rolly-ish. Anyway, so we're off. It's been good in many ways, and made some of the best friends of my life there, called Tiger and Jack, and even Freaky, aka Dave. Gonna miss you guys a lot. You really made my stay there worthwhile, and it brought me joy every morning when we went for our walks along the beach. So once again, we are without dogs or cats as we make our way through the channel. That is from Bali to Lombok. There's a channel. We're going to make our way through that down south to the Gilies.
Behind me are the Gilies, or the Gilies in the north of Lombok. There's two sets of Gilies, and we've just gone past Gili Air, which I know I'm not pronouncing correctly, so anyone who's fluent can maybe correct me, but it's spelled A-E-R. These are very popular resorts, of course, resort islands, both with foreign tourists and also locals. Lots of boats buzzing backwards and forwards, and we've just seen 3 of the boats that were at Marina at anchor there. We've got this very strong wind coming through. This is in part created by systems that are spinning off of the northwest coast of Australia, and they're going to bring in some pretty nasty weather. So we've decided to go straight down to Gili Gede, which are the other Gilies down in the south of Lombok, where hopefully we'll at least get protection from this northwesterly swell. Yeah, everything's going okay so far. I've got a problem with the chart plotter. It doesn't seem to be loading chart data. It's just showing the base map, which is very annoying. And I think I mentioned the engine blower isn't working. That just stopped, so it keeps tripping. I need to look at that because that is not ideal. But otherwise, chugging along, we've got quite a bit of current against us at the moment, so yeah, we're doing all right. So far, so far. Last time I saw anything like this, fishing boats with sails, was down the Egyptian coast, down the Suez Canal. And we saw them earlier, and of course they were motoring into wind, but they still had their sails out. But this guy, I can see his outboard is clearly out of the water, and he's running downwind with this breeze behind us, which we're kind of motor sailing with, not quite enough to be properly sailing, but he's making good progress. And this is fairly unique to this area. This is the first time I've seen fishing boats with decent sails on them for quite some time.
So we're crossing the bay now. Over there I've got Marina, and straight ahead we've got the Gili Gede, which is where we're heading. And hopefully you'll be able to see that we are not rocking and rolling anymore. The swell in the bay has completely flattened out, so we chose a good day to do this. We've had a little bit of wind, it's directly behind us. We didn't want to do wing on wing, we didn't want to jibe. Also, for those who've been watching, you'll know we've had massive problems with the engine, with the mounts, all kinds of things. So we did a lot of work at Marina Bay on the engine, and this has been a really good test run just to see how it works, if there's any rattles, if there's any problems. So far so good. We'll get all the way, we'll anchor, and then we'll have another look at it. But yeah, we're pretty happy so far. It's really nice to be out here, even though we're motoring. I don't mind. It's a lovely, beautiful day here in Lombok, and we plan to spend the next few days, possibly a week or even longer here, just chilling out after months in the boatyard and going back and forth to the UK. It's lovely.
Well, as the storms gather in the south and Liz hangs up the washing behind me, we're just taking stock of our 31-mile trip we've just done, which was really, well, it was two things. First of all, to escape from this oncoming storm that's approaching, and the second reason is to basically give the boat a shakedown after all the work we've had done with it. And on the whole, everything seems good. We did just come in and attempt to anchor, only to find that both down switches, the one in the cockpit and the one by the windlass, don't work. So fortunately, I think it was Ray of Marina Del Ray came out in his boat and said take a mooring, so that's exactly what we've done. You can see Marina Del Ray behind me. It's a single pontoon with a few boats tied up and close enough to row ashore, which is what we've been doing, just to keep ourselves trim. So a few things to sort out while we're here, but I think we're going to be here for a little bit, just to relax and also sort a few things out on the boat, and most importantly, wait for this weather to pass. This is Gili, and the reason why we have come down this way is because there is a pretty strong system that's blowing through down the Java Sea, and it meant two things. First of all, where we were tied up on a mooring at Marina Bay in the northwest corner would have been untenable, and any passage going east towards Flores would have been pretty nasty with not many places to duck into. So on the advice of a few friends, some locals, and really our own analysis, we decided to come down. This is down the west side of Lombok, right down into the corner to a place called Gede, and that's where we are now. It's a long, thin island that offers really good protection. So much protection, in fact, that when we were sitting at anchor yesterday and this morning, we just thought, well, why did we bother rushing down here? It seems as if the weather is very clement. Well, you only have to walk around the corner of Gede back onto, looking out across the bay back up to Lombok, and you can feel the wind, you can see the sea state. It's pretty rough down here, and this is the quiet patch. Further back up where we were just yesterday, I imagine it's probably pretty nasty. So we did the right thing coming down here and just to duck out of this, which we will probably have to do for the next week or so. It's very, very peaceful here. Beautiful little island. And I have to say, the Marina Del Ray, is rather splendid. Really well laid out and very well appointed. Good food at the bar. Just a very comfortable place. But last night, Liz and I had the best night's sleep we have had in literally months. Well, we're just taking a little walk around the southeast corner of Gede, walking through some villages, and I just thought I'd have to show you two things here. These are freshly painted outriggers, so these are what you see on the sides of the boats, and when you see them close up, they're not insubstantial. They are solid wood and they are pretty long. That's a lot of gear to be hanging off the side of your boat, all powered by these outboards. This is the other thing I wanted to show you. So here they've got a couple of outboards stacked up. In Thailand, of course, they call them long tails. They're possibly single cylinder, but have a look at the prop. Absolutely tiny. And as we pan around, you can see them all assembled, and this is what they look like when they go out fishing. So they've got a lot of evacuation routes, obviously for earthquakes and tsunamis. They have these brick roads built into the hills that take you up to the top of the island, which is what we followed. And then we came down the other side, and we're now walking back south. So we're heading around the southwest corner and into one of the three major villages that you see on Gede. And it's a typical fishing village, of course, quite sleepy. And we just stopped for some water and came across a local guy who is making something rather beautiful but very practical. We've come across this guy who is making lures for octopus.
So I've never seen such a thing before. So it's a cowrie on a lead weight, and I asked him if it was supposed to look like a crab, because I know that's what octopus is like. It's supposed to look like a lobster, and it does. So the octopus sees it and eats it in one, you know, goes for it in one. But once it's inside, of course, all those hooks, it's never going to get it out again, no matter how clever it is. And apparently they're dropped down and held on a line up to 100 metres and jigged. Not really even jigged, I think, just sort of slowly up and down. And the octopus, that's it, end of the octopus.
It's 1 in the morning here at Lombok in the south of Gede, and it's time for a bit of anchor watching because the wind has picked up, and it's picked up pretty hard, as you can probably hear in the background, rattling through the rigging. Liz's washing is never going to dry with all the rain, but it's strong enough that we're moving around quite a bit. There isn't so much fetch. It's not like Esper is bucking like a bronco in some anchorages we've been in, but it's still pretty uncomfortable. Just over there is the marina. A few boats on moorings, you can see their anchor lights. And this is the island. We'll look through the plastic here. This is the island of Gede, and possibly a bit of moonlight. I don't know how the moon is shining through the cloud here, because it's been like this now for hours. In fact, it's been blowing hard all day. Every half an hour or so it picks up, as I say, hits over 30 odd knots. Not particularly comfortable.